everyone, welcome back to Bobby's Box with the Deercast at the Stalking Show, day one. I feel sorry for our latest guest because he was casually walking past Bobby's Box and Mr. Owen Beardsmore, in a way that only Owen can, shouted down to our next guest and said, right, you're up next, and he's come up without any choice. But he's someone we probably should have had on the podcast before now. His knives are used by Chris Rogers, Owen as well as a few other notable deer stalkers. But without any further ado, we have Marc from Marc Zabroski Knives, but also I think you now have another knife venture as well.
It's in progress. Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Are we allowed to name?
Yeah, there's the Rushbrooke Knife Company. So Rushbrooke is the country estate where my workshop is housed. And it's the next progression in my knife making journey.
Okay. So, and the difference between a sort of a Marc Zabroski knife and a Rushbrooke Knife Company knife would be?
Yeah, so this is the way to differentiate between my high-end custom work and my more practical working tools. So I really like, my love is the real high-end, fancy, high art kind of one-off pieces. But I still really want to cater to the more accessible audience, practical deer manager, deer stalker. So that is my Rushbrooke outlet, which is still fully, as much as we can. There'll be some outsourcing locally to engineers to do some water jet cutting of our blanks and things. But on the whole, it's still going to be fully in-house by our own small team, which currently consists of me, pretty much.
That's a very small team.
It's a very small team, very small dedicated team.
Yeah. Highly specialist.
Yeah. But the quality control is up there.
Yeah, that's true.
But we have lofty goals, and I definitely see a gap in the market for a kind of mid-price range, accessible, affordable knife, which is still very high quality, very good level of finish.
Yep.
And to all intents and purposes, it's the same materials and the same skill has gone into making it than a high-end custom knife.
Sure. Yeah.
But ultimately, it's a practical working tool.
And very, very quickly on the very high-end ones, I've seen some spectacular ones that you made for people in the past. I think my favourite was one of the ones, I think you made it with Euston Park Antler as the handle.
Yeah. There's been quite a few, because Chris Rogers is quite local to me. So he's obviously a good contact for me to go and rummage through his antler collection. Because, unfortunately in knife making, there's only like 5% of one antler that is actually suitable for making into a knife. So you need someone on tap. A lot of red deer antler.
And where did your sort of knife making journey begin?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, where did it actually begin? The little sort of anecdotal story I always tell is that it started in my shed literally 10 years ago this year.
Wow.
Was when my sort of knife making journey started, and I had, as everyone would know it, a Mora knife.
Yeah.
And I just, on a whim, decided to smash the moulded handle off it and put a wooden handle on it instead, and kind of make a knife to some effect. So I use that as like the foundations of everything that came hence from.
Yeah, nice. So, is there a particular design that you've adopted, or is it just sort of, it depends on what your customers are after, or are there different ones for different purposes, or what's your sort of ethos?
Yeah, I've mostly got set models which I have designed.
Yep.
I'm an avid deer stalker myself.
Yep.
So actually, I am the field testing team as such, which is great because there's nothing lost in communication between your field team and the person actually making it.
Yeah, I'd say you've got quite a distinctive design for your sort of your knives. So they're not the Rushbrooke ones, they're sort of Marc Zabroski ones, and they've got a really nice kind of shape, a sort of curve to them, haven't they?
Well, thank you. I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I like to think that in my knives there's a much more element of design, like flowing lines and the rest of it. I always want my knives to look as good in 100 years' time as they do now. So yeah, I focus. I take a lot from classic knife designs, and I have to do a shout out to, he's here today, Alan Wood, who is obviously like a legendary British knife maker, and he was the catalyst into my interest in kind of actually making knives through him, which is obviously hand in hand with like Ray Mears. Obviously between the two of them they designed the famous Woodlaw knife, which I owned the Woodlaw knife off a bit of a tangent, but the company Wilkinson Sword, who make razor blades, they for a time had the contract of making the Woodlaw knife, and I, in my kind of fledgling, I was around 19 years old, and really heavily into sort of bushcraft and the outdoors in general, kind of as a stepping stone to getting into the hunting world from a person that didn't have access to hunting. That was kind of my way in as such. It's quite a nice stepping stone. So I treated myself to one of the Wilkinson Sword Woodlaw knives. And again, that was another definite catalyst from the beginning of my making journey, just like sitting like with this knife in my hands, absolutely just in awe, and just trying to figure out how it was made.
Nice.
And the Rushbrooke Knife Company knives, are they going to follow a sort of similar design, or is it going to be quite a marked departure from what you've done before?
Yeah, ultimately I want there to be a continuation, but I want them to very much have their own style. So there may be a nod to the Marc Zabroski design. I want people to be able to see some sort of through thread, to be able to look at this and that looks like it was designed by Marc Zabroski. But ultimately they're their own entity, and they're going to have their own identity.
And when and where can people expect to see them? The big question.
The big question. So we may as well kind of make this official, if this is official.
Hang on, are we about to get groundbreaking news on the...
This is exclusive. Oh my god. We've never had an exclusive before.
So don't hold me to it.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to it. So the plan so far is to have a soft launch in October of this year.
Yeah.
Which will be exclusively available to industry professionals.
Right.
So whether you're a professional deer stalker, whether you work in the conservation industry, or indeed in the hunting trade, so like pretty much a lot of people here today, you will be able to sign up via our website to join our exclusive industry program, and you will, from October until April, that will be the exclusive way to get your hands on our knives. So in effect that's a little bit of a test launch. It gives us a little bit of freedom to tweak some designs slightly based on the very initial feedback, and of course we'll be tweaking our production process as well, so when the official launch in April comes around, then we've got everything perfect. Which obviously leads on to April is the Stalking show next year, so
brilliant.
I've been talking to David Freer about an official Rushbrooke Knife Company launch here at the Stalking show next year.
Well, there you go. If you didn't need a reason to come next year, now you've got one. I'm really looking forward to seeing those. That sounds amazing. Are they going to be made in the UK, manufactured?
They're fully made in-house.
In-house,
The only thing we will outsource from the outset will be the water jet cutting of the blanks.
Oh yeah, got you.
But from that point inwards, everything will be in-house. Yeah.
Amazing. The same steel and all of the rest of it, same materials kind of thing.
The steel that we're looking at using is called SF100.
Okay.
Which is made in Sheffield, which is a really nice touch. So again, we're trying to keep everything kind of British as possible. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're quite a small island, so a lot of the materials will come from America and whatnot. But SF100 is a very near comparison to my Marc Zabroski standard steel, which is the 14C20AM, which is a very good purpose-made knife steel.
I've seen.
I might be putting you on the spot again here, Mark.
No problem.
Is there a price bracket yet for these, or are you sort of still to be decided?
Yeah. So there's still quite a lot of nuances to get a kind of more finalised price. The price I have in my head would be in the £260 price range for our flagship model, which is the kind of 3.8-inch all-round, objectively perfect deer stalker's knife. So that sort of price range. So it's like the high end of production knives. Something like a castrum knife that Ben would sell you over at Deer Central.
Plug.
So the high end of that would be our sort of price bracket. So it's hitting between that and a fully handmade kind of custom knife, which would typically be sort of 300 plus. If we can make them cheaper and not go bankrupt, we will do so. Basically, and that's kind of our pledge. Like bottom line, we need to eat food. So that there has to be some profitability. But if we can make them cheaper without sacrificing quality and our brand integrity, then we will do so. But we're going to have there will be a range. Again, I don't want to say too much at the moment, but one model which I think is going to be particularly well received is a purpose-designed binocular harness carry knife. So it's a small little blade which fits neatly onto a binocular harness.
That's a good idea. So quite a flat profile sort of thing.
Exactly. Quite skinny handles. And it's pretty much all you need for 90% of your deer work, realistically, until you get back to the larder. And that we might be able to push out at maybe £190 or something. So quite accessible.
Very much so,
numbers.
Oh, how exciting! Well, we're going to definitely keep our eyes peeled for that.
And we might turn the recording off now, because am I right in thinking you might have some prototypes in a bag that you might be able to discreetly show us that no one else can see? But we promise not to take any pictures or videos or anything like that.
We can definitely look at some stuff.
On that note, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. And,
Thank you.
we're off to see some exciting things.